I've long considered myself a fan of the Paper Mario series. I wouldn't call myself a diehard or anything like that, but I still enjoy the games a good bit. I have not had the pleasure of playing the 64 game. I fell in love with Thousand Year Door and Super as a kid, and while I haven't played Color Splash, I did get to play Sticker Star for a while before I ended up having it stolen. Maybe that was a blessing in disguise though. So with the release of Origami King, there's a lot up in the air about what the game is going to be like. The past two titles haven't exactly appeased most Paper Mario fans, so there's a lot to be said about this next title. Is Origami King a return to form? Does it expand upon the more recent games? Or worse, does it fall flat on its face? Well, let's figure that out. As the disclaimer, at the time of writing this, I have not beaten the game. I'm about 20 hours in and it feels like I still have way more game to play through. This video serves as more like a first impressions kind of type, so if you'd like me to make another more full video on the game, go ahead and let me know in the comments. Now with that out of the way, let's talk about the reason why you're here. Paper Mario Origami King. The game begins with Peach having invited Mario and Luigi to the castle for a fun little shindig. They find the town to be strangely empty, and after entering the castle they find that Peach looks a little weird. Our heroes end up getting thrown into jail, which is where you meet Olivia. You find her trapped between dimensions, aka the wall. She's here to serve as the primary partner to Mario. Kinda like Navi if Navi was made of cardboard. The two discover that these folded soldiers are turning paper folk into more folded soldiers. A quick prison break later, we find ourselves with a flat Bowser. At the top of the building, we confront the villain behind all this, Ollie. King Ollie. He, certainly looks scary. Ollie ends up stealing the castle and relocating it in a much more Ollie-like location, after which he seals it up with several streamers and sends Mario and the gang flying. With the story now set up and Mario in a tree, we could set out on our adventure to stop Ollie and take out the folded soldiers corrupting the land. As far as the story goes, I gotta say it's not half bad. It's an incredibly Mario setup, and from what I've gotten to experience, it doesn't exactly take any huge risks, but it's still quite enjoyable, and the big bad villain makes you go to 27 different worlds before the final battle formula certainly works. I have not gotten to see much of Ollie or even Bowser for that matter. After Ollie sends you flying, there's Ollie remnants set all over the world in the forms of drawings, tape, and the like, but he is nowhere to be found. Bowser could honestly be dead for all I know, and because of that, the paper minions in this game are actually incredibly chill with you. The only enemies you seem to fight are these origami cardboard things, so it is actually kind of refreshing when you get to talk to and see some paper friends. Speaking of paper friends, Jesus Christ, I sure hope you like toads. Toads are officially no longer seen as people and are essentially just collectibles. Find them wadded up in a tree, in random closets and cabinets, literally anywhere and everywhere you can think of. It's like finding gum on Mario's shoe and then it turns out to be a toad. But at least up here we can relax and hang out, look out the telescope and forget about finding all the toads for a bit. I should have guessed. Finding every toad, as far as I know, isn't required, but they're basically just Odyssey moons at this point. You do the most simple, mundane task, and oh my god, he's right there, it's a toad! So while the toads can feel like a bit much and get pretty repetitive, I gotta say they are so funny that they also end up being one of my favorite things about the game. Saving a toad will lead to said toad either helping Mario with a little advice about the game, or cracking a joke, or just saying something pretty funny and then sprinting off. They also serve a purpose in battle, as toads are the audience, of which we'll be talking about the battle system soon. Don't you worry. And while they're in said battle, you can spend coins to get them to help you somehow. Kind of. Speaking of coins, G's. You find to get coins just as often as you find toads. Sometimes finding a random block in the world will just spit out 1,000 big ones. Hey, thanks. Coins are incredibly easy to get, as not only do you get a bunch as a reward from battle, but they're just thrown all over the map. The new confetti power-up is pretty fun, as fixing these holes to make the area better feels pretty accomplishing, but it almost always just gives you a mess of coinage. Now, where are all these coins going to be going? Well, the first decent chunk of the game, I didn't spend a single coin, but once you start unlocking various shops that sell accessories and weapons, you can already tell that's where a massive chunk of your coins are going to go, selling of upwards of 2,000, 3,000, you name it. But still, even though they're a bit pricey, I haven't really had to buy weapons because the battles haven't really needed me to. In Origami King, the battle system is set on this rotating grid where you'll have to move the enemies and try to line them up as best you can to take them out in the easiest fashion. It's a pretty simple concept that as it's gone on does get a bit more challenging to figure out, but it's still not very hard to deal away with most enemies. I went through the game for a while without even letting the enemies take a turn, and when I did take some damage, there's usually a bench to sit on to heal nearby, or enemies will just drop hearts that heal you basically to full. And as I mentioned, coins are the only reward for finishing a battle. No XP, no nothing. So how do you level up then? well, there's no leveling up, and the fun of picking a better stat that would fit you like badge points or health is now also gone. The only things that serve as level ups are the max hearts you find around the world. These will not only increase your hearts, but also make you a bit stronger as well. This isn't necessarily bad, but I just don't feel much of a desire to want to fight enemies if all I'm getting is coins. Sure, they help me buy stuff, but I'm already bursting with coin that I just wish I had more reason to want to finish a fight and hear that level up song. Keep in mind though that I have not played Color Splash and my mind is hazy after I've blacked out the memories of Sticker Star, so this could be incredibly similar and be the way now and I just don't know it yet. Even so, I've heard a lot of people compare the battle system more to puzzle solving than an RPG battle, and because of all this I can certainly agree. I really do enjoy the battles. I think they're quite unique and are pretty fun overall, but they already feel like they're getting kinda repetitive and I'm not sure if they'll be getting any better anytime soon. However, the boss battles, now those are really fun. Instead they'll have you on the outer ring and the boss in the middle, and you've got to try and line up these arrows so you can reach the boss, picking up random resources along the way if you lined them up correctly. And once you reach the inner ring, if you land on an action panel, you get to deal some damage. So far I fought 3 bosses: the turtle, the colored pencils, and the water dragon, all which ended up having different attacks and gimmicks from one another, which I was happy to see. Taking down a Velumental boss, or Velumental boss, I don't know, gives Olivia the ability to turn into said boss and use their powers. See? Look at her go. These magic circle abilities you find in areas are really pretty cool. Unfortunately, the only one Mario has so far is the 1000 fold arms ability, which does sound anime as hell, but all it really does is make his arms all wibbly and wobbly and long. But still, I appreciate and like the various things that Mario can do outside of combat, like the wibbly arms and the confetti. Especially the confetti, honestly. There's something really satisfying about filling in all these areas. All the places I've come across have been run down by monsters and have holes littering the place. But after you rescue more toads, fill it in, and take out some folded soldiers, the area starts to look a lot better and becomes a lot more lively. Toad Town is the most apparent with this. This is the first real town of the game and will essentially serve as a hub for the rest of Mario's adventures. It's similar to Colony 6 from Xenoblade, as you'll be rebuilding and repopulating the town as time goes on. Helping certain toads will send them back here to either just vibe and hang out or even to sell you some better gear or items. This is one of my favorite things about the game, as with all the areas it actually feels like I'm making an impact on the world around me, as well as making everything look just a little bit nicer. And the music will have you jamming out all day and night. I will definitely say I have yet to find a song that I haven't at least slightly enjoyed, as the overworld areas are all very fun and catchy bops, as well as the occasional spooky, dark, and scary kind of song that sends the toads running. Even the battle themes seem to change up and differentiate depending on the area you're in. Mario hasn't only just picked up this jazzy aesthetic with its songs, as the series has been doing it a while now, but even so, it still works, and these songs really add some excitement to the game. All in all, Paper Mario Origami King has a lot to be proud of and a lot to work on. As I mentioned, I have not beaten the game yet, but I am pretty excited to do so. The game is super gorgeous and bright and colorful, the environments are incredibly expressive, and the writing is some of the funniest stuff I've ever read. So far the game is incredibly easy. The only part I've had a bit of trouble with was the ninja training dojo, but that seemed mostly because I was just bad. Even though I've got my issues with the game, I can still say Origami King is worth playing. I wouldn't go in expecting the best Paper Mario of all time, that's for sure, and certainly don't go in expecting a 1000-Year Door 2 or really anything similar to that. But for what the game is, I'm enjoying it. If I've got a lot more to say when I officially beat the game, I'd love to make another more full video, so subscribe if you want to see that. I really hope you enjoyed watching, but now if you'll excuse me, I've got a lot of toads to save. Oh no, he's back.